They were rampaging along, won their first 2 games. They've lost their last 2, but they could have probably won both of them.
Fantastic looking facility there in the deep south.
I'm sure they're going to come out firing tonight.
From memory, he was leading last week. Are you going to be leading this week, or?
From bottom with 6 points and second from bottom with 5. Yes and no. Yes and no. It paid off for them. They got a 2, doubled a 4 and won 6 points. Depends what the teams above you do, doesn't it?
Unbiased, Miles Davis.
Welcome to Unbiased with Miles Davis. It's a little series where we look at the personalities behind lawn bowls in New Zealand and some of the stories that you may not have heard of. Today, I'm really pleased to introduce you. Well, probably if you're a bowler or a bowling fan, you won't need any introduction. It's Blackjack Val Smith. Good afternoon, Val.
Good afternoon, Miles.
Right, I've been looking forward to this. The first thing I want to ask you about it, as I'm a Wellington boy as far as my New Zealand life goes, and the one place I have a lot of rivalry with is Christchurch, and I understand you spent your early years in Christchurch. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Oh, yeah, okay. So I was born in Christchurch, so I spent my first 8.5 years in Christchurch, in the Bishopdale area of Christchurch. And we used to often come up as a family to Nelson on holiday. And then my father sort of got some health issues, and the doctor suggested a change of lifestyle would be a good idea. So family moved up to Nelson to live. And for me, it was great.
Can you remember much, Val, about your 8 years in Christchurch, or is it sort of a dim, distant memory?
I can remember parts of it. Yeah, I can still remember quite a bit of it. But yeah, I can. Yes.
But do you consider yourself a Nelsonian?
I consider myself a Nelsonian. Yes, through and through.
And I'm sure Nelson are proud to have you feel like that. Now, you moved from Bishopdale in Christchurch, I understand, to Bishopdale in Nelson. Was that just purely a coincidence, or did Mum and Dad...
Yeah, purely coincidence. Yeah, I now live in Bishopdale in Nelson. So I didn't originally. I grew up in the Victory Square area of Nelson, and it was when I bought my first home, which is where I'm still am now, here in Bishopdale.
So whereabouts did you go to school in Nelson, Val?
Victory School, famous little Victory School. A lot of international sports people have come out of Victory School.
Okay, go on, name some of them, come on.
You know the Rackleys, you know Jeff Rackley.
Yes, I do indeed, a famous Nelson family.
Yeah, so they all came out of there. There was an All Black Morris. It's been a wide range of sports. There's karate, so the Barbers, Andy Barber, his son. It's just the Frasers, Jeff Rackley's wife, Karen.
Yeah, because for a small school, that's a decent number. And of course, there's yourself that we can throw into there. What were you like academically at school? Probably
average. I was probably smarter when I was younger, and I was doing well in school. But probably by the time I got into around about in high school, which is now what they call year 11 and year 12, that was probably at a stage when I was starting to sort of make my way in sport. So there was a lot of time taken away from the classroom and onto the sports field. So, in hindsight, I probably suffered academically from that respect. But in saying that, I'm one of the few people around that actually enjoyed school. So I enjoyed learning. So, I always worked hard to try and catch up with my schoolwork.
Oh, that's good. I mean, having sport as a distraction, I think, is a positive one. It's better than being distracted by sort of going out drinking with all your mates. At least you're focused on something decent.
Yeah, well, it didn't help when I was at high school. I probably only looked about 12, so I couldn't really go out drinking with my mates anyway. So, but I went right through to the end of school, and I got my, school certificate and university entrance. But I just never knew what I wanted to do once I left school.
Yeah, so in terms of your sports, you were quite widespread. I saw somewhere that you've represented Nelson in 8 sports. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Very
a hell of a
fortunate.
lot. Which ones? You could just give us a couple of them.
I'll probably be able to name them all actually. So I played both hockey and indoor hockey, cricket and indoor cricket, soccer, softball, bowls, and touch.
That's not a bad. That's quite a wide-ranging thing. So, was your family sporty?
My father was, yeah, and both my brother and sister were as well.
Was there a lot of rivalry between your brother and your siblings and yourself? Did that sort of spur you on a little bit, or was it just more sort of fully supportive rather than competitive?
Well, my brother's 6 years older than me, so when we were young, that age gap sort of took him away really from my like when I was very young. So he was off doing his own thing. But my sister's only a year older than me, so both of us, we were very close growing up. A lot of people used to think that we were twins growing up. So we played all our sport together, and it wasn't a rivalry as such. It was more a support. Yeah, it was more of a support thing.
Oh, that's cool. It's nice to. I mean, I'm quite competitive with my siblings, but they're also really supportive. So I think that's a good thing. You mentioned you didn't know what you were going to do when you left school, and I think that very few people really do, I suppose. But what did you do when you first sort of had to venture out into the professional world and get a job?
Okay, so I think my father would have liked me to have gone to university, but because I never knew what it was that I really wanted to study, I thought that was not a wise choice at that age. So, but all I knew is I didn't want to work in an office when I first left school. I wanted to be outdoors. I wanted to be out moving, and so I just did a year of sort of seasonal work when my first year after I left school. But then I took on an apprenticeship in horticulture and gardening with the Nelson City Council, and I was there for 13 years.
Now,
and I stayed in that type of profession probably for about 23 years.
That is fantastic, because I saw this somewhere, and I saw a list of different grounds, the sports grounds that you'd worked on, including Trafalgar Park and various ones there.
Yeah.
But you never looked after a bowling green. How did that happen?
Well, bowling greens were sort of a more specialised area of turf, and they weren't. So I worked for council, so all the grounds. I worked on all the grounds that were managed by the council. All bowling clubs were run and looked after by the individual bowling clubs. So that was sort of never an option. It never came up.
Have any bowling clubs tapped you up? Because you obviously, Nelson's not a massive place. You're a well-known figure in Nelson. Did anybody ever tap you up at the bowling clubs and say, "Oh, can you have a look at that? I think we've got some mange on the lawn over there. Can you have a look at it for me?"
No, it was interesting. I did try to chip away at one of the greenkeepers, trying to get an apprenticeship or a job with them, but he didn't seem to take the bait. So no, it really just wasn't an option here in Nelson at that time.
Do you think that's because you were a woman?
I wouldn't know. I don't think so. I think they'd kind of, by the time I took up bowls, I'm kind of in my late 20s, and I was probably recognised, that I was sort of fit enough to do the job. But I don't think it was because I was a woman.
No, fair enough. I was just trying to stir the pot there. That's it. I was trying to get you to say something controversial, Val.
You can do if you wish.
Now, you said you're in your mid-20s when you take up bowls. Now, you've done all these other things. What was it that got you into bowls? How did you first sort of come across the game?
Well, so Joe and I, this happened to Joe and I together. We both entered into a sports competition run by the Nelson City Council one year, and you played 17 different sports over a period of 1 month. So it was every Sunday and every Wednesday evening of that month. And so out of the list of 17 sports, there was only 3 sports I'd never, ever had a go at before. And lawn bowls just happened to be one of them. And I worked with a guy, one of my bosses at the City Council, well-known figure in bowls New Zealand as well, Alan Griffiths. Because he was a big lawn bowler and he was always taking off to lawn bowls. And then when I'd entered into this event, I went to him and asked him, you know, could he please give me some tips on how to play this game of lawn bowls, because I'm going to play in it in the sports all-rounder. And he took me down for a roll-up, and I was just absolutely fascinated in the sport.
You just got, you know, what was it about it, do you think, that that sort of so attracted you when you played so many other sports and at such a good level?
Because it was something that seemed so simple, but yet it was so hard. And I just, it was almost like the challenge was just too, you know, that was almost the attraction. It was almost like you're on there and you go, God, I can be better than that. I can be better than this. This whole time I'm thinking, I can be better than this. And that was kind of like the attraction. I think it was just the simple concept, but the art of mastering it was the big challenge. And that's what I found really, you know, just amazing about the sport. That's what grabbed me.
That's fantastic. It's funny you should mention, Val, that you mentioned that multi-sport. When I used to live in Queenstown, and we did the same thing over a month. It was on a Tuesday and a Sunday, and we had there were 16 teams of 6, and it was called State of Origin. So it's basically where there was a Hawke's Bay team of people who lived down there, and I was part of the England team. It was fantastic, and it does open your eyes to other opportunities. Now, you mentioned Joe, who was Joe Edwards, who everyone listening to this will know. Now, the pair of you apparently struggled to find competition of women within your club. Can you tell me about that?
Okay, so after we played the sports all-rounder, the following summer, one of the bowling clubs where Alan Griffiths played, it was Alan Griffiths. He asked, he came to me and asked me if I was interested in putting in a team for the social league, summer social league. So that's where Joe and I started. So we went down to the Nelson Bowling Club and we played in the summer social league for 2 years. And that's when we decided, we were both playing softball back in those days, and that's when we decided we'd give up softball for a year and have a serious crack at lawn bowls. And as it turned out, we won the senior women's pairs in the first year that we were there. And so that took us to the Nelson Champion of Champions senior pairs, and we end up winning the senior champion of champions, the senior pairs and the champs. So, because we didn't even actually realise what we'd achieved. Like, we just thought we were playing another sport, but it was big news. It was like, it was a really big deal, and which we were totally unaware of. So it was kind of that first year, it was almost like ignorance is bliss. That's how we sort of got through that first year. So we went back and played the second year, and it happened again. Like, we won the senior pairs again, and so we thought, well, if we really want to take this game seriously, we need to get to a club that's got, some of the top women lawn bowlers around, and then we end up joining the United Bowling Club.
How was the reaction, Val? Can I just ask you, how was the reaction of other people who'd been bowling for years, and these two little upstarts come along and start dominating? Was there sort of grudging respect, or were people, did they welcome you and pat you on the back?
Well, it wasn't. It was mixed. It was really mixed. And of course, you're looking at a time before amalgamation. So this is when there were separate associations, women's and men's associations. So there was a really mixed reaction from the women's side. There was quite a lot of nasty feedback we received, Stories like just making up stories like we must be on the dole because and we're on the dole we're on the dole so we can spend all our time practicing. Just really interesting stories where you think, where on earth did that come from? But then the great thing is that so we had to put up with a fair bit for the first couple of 3 years, and then one of the ladies that was one of the top lady bowlers in Nelson, who was very highly respected here, one day just jumped in and supported Joe and I, told all the ladies, stop with the stories, give them a break. They're only here to play their sport. Give them a chance. And then kind of all died down.
It's like that, isn't it? I mean, envy in all sorts of fields and professions. It's going to happen now. When did you first playing like that? And obviously you're starting to make some ripples in the local scene. When did you first get noticed on the national scene?
So it was at one of the national tournaments. I think it was the Dunedin national tournament for me. So it was either my second or third national tournament. I made it through to the quarterfinals of the singles, and I think Joe and I did reasonably well in the pairs. Joe had made her mark, I know, a couple of national tournaments before me, and then I had a good run in one of the singles events, and that was probably when I was first recognised on the national scene.
When did you get your first call up?
For New Zealand?
Yes.
My first game for the New Zealand, which was called the Academy side back then, so it's like New Zealand development team, that was in the year 2000.
And then 3 years.
I was part of a sort of a schools of excellence or a training squad just prior to that. But my actual first game for a New Zealand side, which was the New Zealand development team, was in 2000.
Now I see you get 2003. You get called up to the Blackjacks. What I've got to ask you, what was the difference like playing in the nationals or at your club and then playing on the international stage in terms of how you feel within yourself in terms of nerves and also the level of competition?
So I felt a little nervous, but it was interesting what happened to me. By the time I got called up into the New Zealand team, I'd actually been doing all right for a number of years. And because I used to have people come up to me and say, what have you done wrong? Why can't you break into the New Zealand team? And I just used to think, well, either I'm not the sort of person they're looking for, but it never dampened my spirits. I was quite happy. I was quite happy doing what I was doing. And so in a way, I felt sort of lucky that they did delay my step up into the New Zealand team, because by the time I got there, I sort of felt like I was ready. And also I had it in my heart that I just didn't want to be a one-off in the New Zealand team. I wanted to be a good player in the New Zealand team. So, but what I found, first of all, the first thing that got me was the seriousness of it. I'm pretty laid back and I like to sort of, have a few laughs when I'm playing. But my first sort of introduction into New Zealand team it felt really quite serious, and a lot of team meetings and analysis and that sort of thing. But in time I sort of relaxed with all that. But I just really enjoyed what I liked about the competition is seeing the different ways the countries perform and their behaviours and characters and that sort of thing. That was another big. The New Zealanders, we're actually quite reserved, but playing against the Australians and the Welsh, and it's awesome because it was just different characters, and you actually find that those sort of characters, they spur you on too. You sort of feed off them as well.
That's interesting because
So
I think most people would say that New Zealanders are reserved in various aspects of life, so probably not a surprise to have it there. How did you get into trouble with your relaxed attitude early on in terms of sort of being a bit too chirpy on the green?
uh, yes, I think initially it wasn't taken in the way I meant it to be taken, like because you can see it. It can be misinterpreted as lack of concentration or distraction. But I think now these days they realise actually it's not that at all. It's just being able to switch on and switch off at the right times. So it was discussed. um,
That's a very
but
polite way of putting it, Val. You got a bollocking.
yes, I actually didn't get a bollocking, but I did get told just be aware, at what times it's used.
Yeah, no, fair enough too.
Probably not so much for me, but maybe to the focus and concentration on maybe your teammates.
Oh, right, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not worried
Yeah.
about upsetting the opposition, but if your teammates start losing their rag, it's not going to be much good. It only took you 5 years though, Val, from 5 years from starting to 2008 Worlds, where you pick up 2 golds and a silver. Now, how did it feel going there? How did you feel going in? Were you confident or hopeful? And then when you actually achieved that double, how did that make you feel?
Well, I was concerned going into the World Champs because I almost felt a bit flat, which worried me a little bit because we trained for like 3 months the World Champs in 2008 was in January of 2008. In 2007, we'd been training together as a team from October right through to December. And then we had the national tournament over the New Year period, and then straight from the national tournament into the World Champs. So it's almost like it wasn't as if you'd done too much. It was like I felt like I should be more sort of excited and upbeat. But so I don't know what the cause of that flatness was. But when we actually started the World Champs, that flatness just completely disappeared. It went away, and but it was replaced with a calm. I was quite surprised because I'm sort of an animated, excitable person, but it was replaced with this really calm feeling. And when I was playing, it wasn't till after I won the World Champs where I sat back and reflected that I felt it was probably the best I had ever been, like mentally, in any sport at any time.
Have you
And I can only say that had to come down to all the training that we did. It just must have all fell into place.
Have you managed to recapture that sense? That total sort of zen, if we want to call it some term. Is it something that you can reproduce, or was it unique to that moment?
It was unique to that moment for the particularly for the length of time. I have moments of it. I'll have a tournament of it, but for that entire length of time, I just felt so relaxed and calm, and I didn't even consider that I had a chance of winning it until I was actually playing the semi-final. I was playing in the semi-final and I was feeling really good, and then all of a sudden it dawned on me when I thought, shit, you could win this. And it was kind of like I was just sort of, I suppose that's what when they talk about sort of the processes, I was just sort of going through my processes and feeling like relaxed and comfortable and feeling good and calm. And then next thing I know, I'm in the semi-final of the World Champs.
Just a magnificent
So
performance, though, Val. Like 2 golds and a team silver. You've got the singles and you've got the pairs with Joe, which must have been great for a couple of
yeah.
Nelson girls to be on top of their chosen sport as far as the world goes. And then I understand that you defected, that you left, and I don't know why anyone who lives in Nelson would want to leave it, but you headed across the ditch to Australia. What sort of caused that move? What made you move over there?
Okay, so Joe and I were given the privilege of being offered a playing contract for a bowling club in Sydney. So it was the Marylands Bowling Club. And we did that. We went over there for about 5 weeks each year for about 4 years. And then the last time I was over there, the management came to me and said, there is a chance of a job going as the bowls coordinator, women's bowls coordinator here at Marylands. Would I be interested? And Australia being Australia, they think you're just going to jump, drop sticks and go, yes, of course. But I said, well, it would, depend what the contract was, and, I've got to consider my life back in New Zealand and all of that. And then sort of then out of the blue, about 5 months later, they rang me up and offered me the job. So I thought about it because I do love Nelson so much. I didn't really want to leave. But the other thing, probably a lot of people don't realise that representing your country comes at a cost. So financially, I was struggling because I was having to take so much time off work to be able to do what I do. I wasn't complaining about that because that was my own personal choice. I loved it so much. That was a choice I made. But so when I was offered the position in Marylands, they told me that the big game changer was that they said they would support me while I represented New Zealand. So it was more a financial move and an opportunity that I didn't want to sit back in later life and go, why didn't I try that?
Did you enjoy it?
I just had to go. I had to do it.
Did you enjoy it while you were over there?
Yeah, what I enjoyed most about it was I felt very grateful to have been given that opportunity, and it was quite tough. It was a fairly tough environment, completely different sporting environment to what I've grown up in. It's very competitive. So what was good for me, it took me out of my comfort zone, and it also enabled me to learn and understand people a lot more. And plus, I was getting all the benefits of playing the sport that I love as well. Yeah. So, and they looked after me in regards to, representing New Zealand and my own training, my own competition while I was there. So, yeah, it was a good decision to go.
Why did you come back?
And I'll always be grateful for it.
Why did you come back, Val?
So what happened is that I was on a fixed term agreement. I originally went over on a 3-year fixed term agreement. At the end of that 3 years, they re-signed for another 3 years. And then at the end of that 3 years, they chose not to re-sign my agreement, though they did give me another 3-month extension on the agreement I had. And I was given that news only 3 months before the COVID lockdown came in. So when we got sent home during the COVID, it was during that period where things became a lot clearer to me, and realised I just felt like I'd done my time and it was time to go home.
Fair enough too. How did your family cope with COVID? Was there any impact, sort of health-wise or financially or psychologically? Because it's been pretty tough for a lot of people. How's your family cope with it?
I haven't even asked them. I don't even know.
God, the most compassionate member of the family there, Val. Have you actually said hello to them since you've been back? Do they know you're back in the country?
Yes. Yes, I don't know. Actually, I don't even know. We keep in contact, but everyone seemed to be happy.
That's fair enough. Now I've got to talk about your relationship with Joe Edwards. Obviously, you've been friends for a long time. You've been teammates both at club and international level. How did Joe talk to you about her retirement from the international scene?
No, she let me know before she made the announcement. We were playing in the centre fours, and she called me over at the end of one of the day's play, and she told me the news then. But it was funny because I didn't feel shocked by the decision. In fact, I was quite proud of her for making that decision. To retire. She's at the top of her game. She's still playing really well. And as she said, she just felt it was time to stop. But like she said, she said never say never, because she might find in 12 months' time that she's back loving it and wants to do all the work, and she may make herself available again. But, she just didn't want to be stringing anybody along, if she didn't have her heart 100% committed.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough, though, Val.
So, yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah. That it was a brave decision. And I'm just wondering, from are you still got the hunger for it? Have you still got the drive? And would you like to take your dear friend's record of the number of appearances for New Zealand off of her?
Well, I've still got the hunger and I've still got the drive, but the record, no, it doesn't enter into anything. No, I mean, like, even for myself, I mean, I know it's a hell of a thing to achieve, but it's irrelevant really in the big scheme of things, in the bigger scheme of things. To me, it's more about how you feel, what you get out of what you do, what you can hopefully pass on to other people. I still haven't lost that childlike feeling of playing and enjoying and just wanting to do well. As I said, I think it all stems from childhood. When I said I liked school, I liked learning. I still like learning. So if I can find ways to be a better player, I'm always searching for, hints, clues. I love getting tips off people. I love listening to the work that John Quinn, the sports psychologist, does with the team. I still love all that. I still love all that stuff. And I just love playing. It's exciting.
I'm sure New Zealand bowls. I'm sure bowls New Zealand now are very happy about that, Val, because having lost Joe, I don't think they want you following along behind straight away. So that's good news. That's good news for everyone here. I just a couple of final things. I'm going to. Last time I heard, you were working for Mainland Football. Has that still happened, or have you moved on?
No, I start on Monday.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why would that? Well, I thought you'd already started. Where did I get that all wrong?
I don't know, but I've just been given the job, so I start on Monday, which is very exciting.
Oh, that'd be great. I think with all your you can do all the jobs. You can do the sports side of it. But also you can do the greenkeeping side of it. You can do the ground maintenance. You can tell them how to do. To do that. I've got 6 questions for you, though, which are nice, easy ones. You can relax, and we'll give you a bit of time on them. Have you got a pet, or have you ever had a pet that you really loved?
Yes, I had a cat.
What was its name?
I've got a cat now.
What was the cat's name?
Ajax.
Why Ajax?
Well, she was actually black, and she's a black sort of semi-fluffy cat, and I didn't know what to name her. She was a very cute kitten, and so somebody suggested, I don't know why Ajax, but you know how Ajax used to come in that white powder
Yes.
form?
So it was
Green
like
powder?
totally the opposite because.
So, yeah, like totally the opposite.
Yeah.
And then also somebody else said, oh, and there's the football club Ajax, which is about the same as Ajax as well. So she's got a
sporting and a domestic cleaning product background.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Val, what about what you talk about sport? You love sport. What if there was one team that you love more than any other? What is it? Sports team, any sport thing you think, oh, I love that. I always want to watch them or go and see them or find out about them.
Well, my biggest dream, travelling dream, and I'm going to do it when the world opens up, is I want to go and watch Liverpool play at Anfield.
Do you know something, Val? We were getting on so well, and I just knew you were going to say something that was going to upset me. But I'll forgive you for that because you've been so much fun. And I'm assuming Joe's had an influence on you there because she's a Liverpool fan as well, as she always reminds me every time they beat us.
My mother was from Liverpool.
Oh, that's fair enough.
My mother was
then.
from Liverpool, and my father was from Warrington.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Warrington, so Liverpool's a far better option out of those two. What about sports person that you admire? You think, yeah, there's aspects of that that person that I really admire.
Probably one of the sports people I'd really admire is Phil Taylor.
Oh, the power.
Yeah, the power. So I haven't watched that since he retired. It's not the same.
It's not because you want to see him go on and win that 17th world title.
Because he was just class, I thought. He wasn't, he wasn't like big time show pony kind of player. He just got up there and he was just cool and class.
Yeah, he reminds you of your uncle, doesn't he? Like your favourite uncle. He's nothing flash or ostentatious about him. Right, we've got 3 more to go. Musical artists. If you could go and see, alive or dead, any artist in the world at a concert, who would you go and see?
Madness.
Oh, fantastic. See, you're back on side with me now. I've forgiven you for that Liverpool one, Val, and you're back on side. Okay, so that's good. I'll come and join you on that one. You can go to Liverpool to Anfield with Joe, and we'll go to Madness together.
Okay,
movie.
That sounds good.
Now, films. What type of? Is there a film that you think oh, really, I could watch that again?
Oh, there's loads. One of my favourite films are inspirational true stories, obviously sports ones. So anything like Remember the Titans, Rudy. I don't know if you've seen Rudy.
No, I haven't seen
those sort of football. Yeah, a lot of them based on American
They do it well, don't they, the Yanks?
Yeah, because they do it so well.
Yeah.
Baseball, 41, with...
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's about
Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson, that's right.
Yeah. So any sports films, sort of inspirational sports films that are true stories, based on true stories.
Well, I can't wait till they'll probably be making one on you when you retire, Val. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out.
Like another series of Crackerjack.
Keep it over. And finally, your favourite meal. Like if you were sitting there, I'm not going to say you're on death row. But I should actually say that because that makes it more dramatic. Then, if you say, "Oh, you're on death row," what would be your final meal?
Final meal, I reckon a good Asian stir fry would probably be my favourite meal with like a good mixture of meat and vegetables, but on noodles.
Yeah, but that's nice and healthy for you as well. Not that that would matter if you're just about to go to the electric chair, Val.
Tasty.
Oh no, it is. Don't worry about it. I'm thinking of having a pad thai tomorrow, making one tomorrow. So I'm.
Then just a fresh hot cinnamon donut.
That could be your dessert.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that. I'll make a list in case you ever do get caught for any sort of serious crime in the United States. then at least we know what to order for you. Val, thank you so much for your time. I've really appreciated it and I've really enjoyed it. Even the Anfield thing, I'll forgive you for. And we look forward to seeing you back on the international stage once everything gets back to normal. And with the bubble opening up, it may not be that far away.
Yeah, well, I hope not. I'm looking forward to the world opening up again.
They were rampaging along, won their first 2 games. They've lost their last 2, but they could have probably won both of them. A fantastic looking facility there in the deep south. I'm sure they're going to come out firing tonight.
From memory, he was leading last week. Are you going to be leading this week, or?
From bottom with 6 points and second from bottom with 5. Yes and no. Yes and no.
It paid off for them. They got a 2, double the 4 and won 6 points.
Depends what the teams above you do, doesn't it?
Unbiased, Miles Davis.